Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the figures and ideas that shape our world. Today, we're diving into the life and incredible legacy of the literary giant Toni Morrison. We do language. Just think about that for a second. This single sentence from her Nobel Prize speech really gets to the heart of everything Toni Morrison was about. For her, language wasn't just a tool. Nope. It was the very stuff of our lives, how we build our world, how we understand ourselves, and ultimately, how we're remembered. So how does that happen? How does a girl from a small, working-class town in Ohio become one of the most powerful literary voices on the planet? It's an amazing story. And to really get her impact, we have to go right back to the beginning. You see, Morrison's unique voice wasn't just learned in a classroom. It was forged in a childhood that was this incredible mix of rich, beautiful Black storytelling and the absolute brutal reality of American racism. I mean, just look at these experiences. On one hand, her parents filled her world with Black folk tales, ghost stories, and songs, this deep well of culture and history. But on the other hand, violence was always close. Her father had fled the South after witnessing lynchings. And then, when she was just 2 years old, their landlord literally set their house on fire because they couldn't pay the rent. And her family's response? It wasn't despair. They laughed at the sheer absurdity of that evil. And she said that moment taught her how to hold on to your integrity in the face of, as she put it, monumental crudeness. So after this incredible upbringing, she gets this world-class education. She chose Howard University specifically because she wanted to be surrounded by other Black intellectuals. Then she went on to get her master's from Cornell. This wasn't just about getting degrees, This was her building the intellectual toolkit she would use to challenge and then completely expand what we even consider to be American literature. Long before most of us knew her name, Morrison was already changing the game. She was working from the inside, like an architect, building a whole new platform for Black voices, including, eventually, her own. It's like she was leading this incredible double life. By day, she was the first Black woman to be a senior editor in fiction at Random House, one of the biggest publishers in the world. And by night, she was a writer. She would wake up at 4 a.m. while raising 2 sons all by herself to write the kinds of books she knew the world was missing. And just look at the people she brought to the table as an editor. We're talking about icons, revolutionaries, political activists like Angela Davis, writers like Toni Cade Bambara, and even the greatest, Muhammad Ali. She used her position to bring these essential voices into the American mainstream. Okay, so fast forward to 1987. This is the year she publishes the novel, the one that would cement her status not just as a great Black writer, but as one of America's greatest writers, period. That novel was beloved, and the story behind it is just wow. While editing an anthology, Morrison came across the true story of Margaret Garner, an enslaved woman who made the unthinkable choice to kill her own child rather than see her return to slavery. That story haunted her, and it became the core of Beloved. The book was an absolute sensation right out of the gate. And the critics, they went wild for it. You have literary giants like Margaret Atwood basically saying, all right, if anyone had any doubts about her greatness, they're gone now. But even with all that praise, the literary establishment, well, it seemed a little hesitant to give her the top awards. And that's exactly what happened. It didn't win the National Book Award, it didn't win the National Book Critics Circle Award, and for many people, this was a massive snub. But the response from the Black literary community was something no one had ever seen before. 48. That's the number to remember. 48 of the most important Black writers and critics in the country, we're talking Maya Angelou, Amiri Baraka, they signed their names to a public statement in the New York Times protesting the literary world's failure to recognize what they saw as Morrison's undeniable genius. And guess what? It worked. Just 2 months after that protest, Beloved was awarded the Pulitzer Prize. This was huge. It was this incredible moment of collective action that completely changed the conversation about who gets to decide what counts as great American literature. And that Pulitzer? Oh, that was just the beginning. After that, the floodgates opened. The highest honors in the world started rolling in: the Nobel Prize in Literature, the Jefferson Lecture, and then the Presidential Medal of Freedom, presented to her by President Barack Obama. She went from being a celebrated novelist to a true national treasure. But here's the thing about her legacy. It's so much bigger than just her own books. She fundamentally changed how we read, who gets a chance to be published, and really what we even think of as the American story. And then came Oprah. Just when you thought her place in the literary world was secure, her popular reach just exploded. When Oprah Winfrey chose 4 of Morrison's novels for her book club, it was like pouring gasoline on a fire. The sales boost was even bigger than the one she got from the Nobel Prize, introducing her work to millions of new readers. Now, to really get why her work was such a game changer, you have to understand this concept, the white gaze. For a long, long time, it was this unspoken rule that writers, especially writers of color, were writing for a white audience, that they had to explain their culture, translate their experiences. And Toni Morrison, she was having absolutely none of it. She was clear, I am not doing that. She refused to apologize for or explain her characters and their world. She insisted that the lives of Black people were universal and profound all on their own, without needing any outside approval. And by refusing to shrink her world to fit someone else's expectations, she actually made it infinitely bigger. It's like she said herself, "My world did not shrink because I was a Black female writer, it just got bigger." She took the power to define her own universe. And now her words are literally carved into the monuments that tell our national story. I mean, look at this. This is a permanent part of the American landscape, a part of our national conscience. It doesn't get much more impactful than that. She proved that the stories we tell matter, that who gets to tell them matters. She reshaped American literature by focusing on the voices that had been pushed to the side. And that leaves us with a really important question, right? Whose stories are we choosing to listen to and to lift up today?